Hey, this is Hex from the Overwatch League, and this is In My Sights, Episode 2. Today we're going to look at the Dynasty versus the Gladiators. More specifically, we're going to take a look at Marvel's POV through the entirety of the match. It's going to be a little bit slower pace because we're on Rialto here and we're watching an off-tank. He's going to be on the Sigma. Sigma is an off-tank, and you're going to see exactly what that means here. He's always on his own pretty much, doing different things. There's a lot of different things you want to get done as a Sigma, but a lot of it is most importantly, especially against a team like the Gladiators, to deny the flankers, keep a good eye on his shield uptime, and try and get value out of the ultimates. I think the fundamental play of Marvel is just really sound throughout most of this matchup. It's not going to be much of a playmaker except when he has his ultimate ability. But you're going to see even early on what his job is against this kind of composition. It's just to deny flankers. The Gladiators have been running pretty much non-stop a Doomfist, and he's going to try to stop the Doomfist from getting in the back lines. Now up here, this is just to deny their top angle. And a lot of times you're going to see Marvel squatted up with his Mei in Prophet. They're trying to get a lot done up here, but the bad thing is they missed that in the backside. Doomfist and Brigitte were able to get in, and they got on the back line, snuck around the side, unable to get there. He's going to pick up a nice kill here, but this fight is pretty much over. Now just try to get a tiny bit of cart push. Maybe you can get out alive. Is there an exit left? No, there is not. Is there anyone in here? Ah, they're all in here! And dead to rights. That ain't it, Chief. Back to the drawing board. So he was trying to deny the flankers, trying to take that top position so that no one could get behind him. Unfortunately, both Mir and Big Goose got behind him, took out his back line. So some decent cart push. We'll see if they have to take the same angle again, try to take that up top. And notice too though, the shield will almost never go down this entire match. Uses it like a mix between Ryan shield and a D.Va defense matrix. And very rarely will you see him actually with gesture. So the idea of double shield isn't that you're both on the cart and both cracking shields. This is just a straight up mistake. Marvel buddy. Check your corners. He gets knocked down, but unfortunately for the Gladiators, they're unable to take advantage of it because, well, the Shatter gets denied, and there's really nice healing from Toby in the Immortality field. Again, it's Mei and Marvel squatted up. They'll take out a couple. Toby and Badoshin do a great job throughout this entire match. I imagine you'll see them in future episodes of In My Sights. Now he's nearing ultimate now, just trying to crack up the last few bits here. Again, squatted up with Meg, he can provide that shield, she can spam icicles. Now the team wants to come in, but he sees a great opportunity. This is the playmaker time. They're all out in the open, just gonna pull them back. And yeah, that ult doesn't really get any kills, but it takes 3 people out of the fight, away from the fight, while the rest of his team's able to clean up everyone there. And that's a quick take of the first point. Now we're in a second part of Rialto here. And the map will change when you're on payload maps like this. It starts off very wide open, gets a little bit smaller, then of course the last points are a lot smaller. It's going to take the high ground here, able to bounce in shots. The splash damage and the hit markers are great for information, and also this stare angle allows him to cover both the right side and left side. He sees the team rotating left side, gets in there, and this fight goes all the way bad for Seoul, but it really shouldn't have. But it's the switch to the Reaper that throws them off. They don't expect Birdring to get to the back line. He takes out the main damage dealer and fits. And this is when the Gladiators just hit the go button. They push in, Birdring's super aggressive, and that's going to be all she wrote. But a lot of good cart push there for the Seoul Dynasty. Just did not end up going their way early in that fight. And now you try to think, what do we need to do to adjust to this Reaper here? And again, it's just going to be about checking flanks, making sure that they're not flanking you, because that's the only way you're going to lose these fights. So they're going to come up here. Yep, that's where the Reaper wants to hide out. It's not just about checking flanks when you're in the fight, but before you set up to make sure you know where people are. I'm going to get pushed all the way back again here. A nice flank shatter. When the Gladiators won fights, it was from coming through different angles and spreading out the Seoul Dynasty. It's interesting because you look at the Gladiators' composition and you think it's a death ball, but very rarely are they fighting all together in a giant clump. They're trying to separate, trying to put a lot of different pressure on different sides of the team, and this is a nice ult. Just to open it up, everyone's too far out. It's exactly where you saw the other ult, the ult charging very quickly. Just gets in there, and I like that he used the architecture there, making sure he doesn't go too high. There's not a ton of long-range damage from the Los Angeles Gladiators, but you still don't want to put yourself up in shooting range. Again, he wants to take these stairs so he can cover right angle and left angle, keep them in the doorway, keep getting the splash damage in. Nice stun there, and that stun, yeah, maybe Mira was dead to the Deadeye anyway, but the stun makes sure that he can't get out of line of sight during that. Now this is going to come in, they're going to use a ton of ultimates, the Grav comes in as well, shut down the Death Blossom. Now just trying to clean this one up, got a couple people in here. Mir's going to try to get in there, but that ain't it. Fedosian is going to light up the kill feed just on the cleanup duty. It's everybody down, trying to get these escape hits here. Maybe could have waited for the halt to pull somebody in, but you never know if that's going to even grab anybody, and it actually didn't. So Seoul Dynasty in a really good spot here. Pushing forward, and again, it's just all of this damage coming in. Look how fast his ult's charging. Every little volley giving him about 3%. Gets pressured by the Doomfist, but his healing is there. Yeah, this is a really good job of trying to deny any follow-up onto this. And he's just going to go for the Gravitic Flux again, and this is another time where it's just, it looks like the fight's all the way bad for his squad, but he makes a play. Really, the biggest time you're going to be a playmaker on Sigma is when you have that Grav Flux. Everything else is just trying to keep your team alive, being a utility tank, keeping shields up, giving everybody line of sight, and then denying flankers. Again, it's so much about denying flankers, because as an off tank, especially a Sigma off tank, you can be a little bit of a duelist because you can dance around the shield. A lot of things I see at the lower level from Sigma play is people playing the shield like it's a main tank shield. It is not. And that shield cracks, it's bad for everybody. Again, squatted up with the Mei here. And this Brigitte is in the wrong place, wrong time. And get even more damage in through here, so they take the flank away. There's some times where he'll hit the switch of I'm denying flankers to I am the flanker, and it's about making those decisions on the Sigma about when it's time to go and when it's time to fall back that really makes a top tier Sigma over a lower tier Sigma. So not the cleanest round possible for the Seoul Dynasty. A couple of mistakes early on from Marvel, getting knocked off the top and then not noticing the really early flank from the Doomfist, but Gravitic Fluxes came in huge to stop fights, to turn fights around that were already lost for the team. Now defensively here for Seoul Dynasty and Marvel on Sigma specifically, he's going to do a lot of the same stuff of trying to deny flankers, to make sure that their life is difficult, and just to be always checking of where they're coming from. The Gladiators are going to run death ball compositions, but they're not going to play it like a death ball. They're going to still run flanks. They're kind of squatted out left side and right side, going in all different angles. So Marvel's got a lot of pressure on him to be able to find where they are and give that information to his team. And this is a nice little spot for Sigma and his DPS buddies. You don't really want the Orisa up here. Orisa wants to stay low ground, stay on the cart, check out that far left flank if someone's coming behind there. But right now, this shield's got 900. You're just going to go for pot shots here. You've got a Hanzo and a Mei up top, and they're feeling safe as day. So there's that first check. Just looking for people on the right side flank, and he was correct. There were people over on the right side flank. Now there's not much to get done here. Going to go for a blind accretion. That doesn't happen. Now just checking. Can't be soloed in on the Doomfist here. You have to wonder where everybody else is. Doesn't see anybody, so now here's the check. The check on the stairway is going to use the splash damage. There's a hit marker. They're coming right side. Now the Gladiators will go super far right, trying to get damage done here. A little bit of check on both the Tracer and the Doomfist. Tanks come up top only for a second, but look how split up this Gladiators team is. A really nice immortality field's going to keep Marvel alive even though he gets punched. But look how split up, and they've never been able to successfully deal with any part of this Gladiator squad. Prophet finds himself on the wrong side of walls, gets murdered by crows. And still, the backside is still alive. That accretion misses, and they've just been unable to get kills, and they're taking fights everywhere and losing every 1v1. Marvel's going to do his best to try to keep people alive. Gets in there, tries to soak it up. It's not going to happen. Mir gets 2. And I believe I was calling this match, and I thought that was just going to be first for the Gladiators. They win the fight. They're very close to this point. And there's not a ton of people out here. But look at this, 90% on the ultimate. A couple of volleys will get him there. He's going to try to blind rocket. Now he's got people in the corner. The splash should get there for sure. And Gesture's going to set the anchor as the Orisa anchor tank. We got a couple people low, and again, using the architecture of the archway, comes over the top to try to finish some damage secondarily, and that one's it. Uses the ultimate when he has to use it, gets people up and out of the fight. The rest of his team cleans up, and that's an enormous hold there. Now the Gladiators don't get forward spawn, and Seoul is equidistant in spawn time. Clock keeps running down. So Marvel, again, just on flanker duty, checking far right side, going for blind rocks. You're not going to see a ton of huge accretion kills during this, but he just does his job. In a little bit of trouble here, and somehow gets out alive. They're a little bit tired of Marvel just hanging out and doing whatever he wants, so they sent a lot of people towards him there. You have to notice that the Doomfist just went on the flank up top left. Yeah, doesn't get there on time. I mean, there's so much going on, and there's so much that Marvel has to be doing that it's difficult to catch everything, and you'd think that this is a Dynasty win because Fitz just got 2, but Space is still an MVP-style Zarya there. He waits for the kinetic grasp from the Sigma to go away, launches in the Graviton Surge, comes back into it. So the Gladiators will get an extension, 3 minutes on the clock there. And now where do you set up on second point defense? You can see it directly in his sights. He kind of wants to hold those stairs up top. Just like every sort of map, every sort of fight, high ground is really important. It's also where a lot of flankers are going to come from too, and you can check several different angles while in here. Great job using the splash damage, using the very unique primary fire. This one's tough. If they get OG there, they probably win this fight. He gets a nice stun, he's discorded, but OG gets out of that fight. And now he's on low ground, and there's just too much. There's just too much happening. OG will go down, but too many abilities for that Gravitic Flux to get going the way it needs to. I'm gonna throw good money after bad here with the Transcendence, but this one is pretty much over. Marvel gets isolated, gets swarmed upon, and he hits a nice accretion early in that fight, but the Gravitic Flux grabs one target that has a bubble on them, and also a Reaper who just Wraith walks away. Murdering switch to Reaper here actually did really well for the Gladiators, but this fight is crazy, because 4 people are dead, there's only 2 alive, right? It's just Gesture and Toby up front on the cart, a nice hit there. But they do enough, they wait just long enough to get everyone else back in this fight. And now they're gonna drop Supercharger, Blizzard for good measure, and Seoul again wins a fight only meters away. It's so frustrating for this Gladiators team. It's just really good patience from Seoul. They had 2 people alive versus 5 or 6 from the Gladiators. They waited it out long enough, just Toby and Gesture hanging out on the cart. Everybody else spawns pretty close to that area, come back and they win that fight. Alright, so now he's taking a mental note, somebody's going left, and now he's checking left. Keeps checking left. It's such a unique ability to be able to launch things around the side. He checks there with a rock, and he was right. There's a Reaper over there. There's a split second where you can see the Reaper was coming up those stairs. Again, you want to hold this side so that the flankers can't take your high ground away. It's kind of interesting that Gesture and Marvel are up there. That's why Marvel's going to take a further angle. That spot's already taken, but Gesture gets in a lot of trouble. The mines come out. And there's the grab. Marvel tries his best, puts a shield right in front of it, but the Gladiators are just everywhere. They're swarming everywhere, putting pressure on everybody here. And yeah, you'd think Mir would be dead there, but he gets pumped full of Brigida packs. And Gladiators will ultimately take this fight at the end. So with 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock, you're thinking you're in about 2-fight territory. The thing for Seoul right now is that they don't have any ultimates, but they also know the Gladiators used a ton of ultimates in the last fight as well. OG's going to switch back to Reinhardt, because now we're in a little bit of a close quarters area. You want that big shield rather than being ball. Marvel just doing some poke here, waiting for the rest of his team, trying to launch things around corners. Again, Sigma's has such a unique kit that you really have to take advantage of all of it. The shield hasn't broken the entire game, using it just for dueling factors here, trying to squat up with Mei, seeing if anyone walks through that doorway. and checking right side, just checking right. His team has left. His duty's on right, trying to get splash as well. And a blind rocket. Throughout most of this match, too, if you watch it back, he does a really good job of tracking Mirror, because Mirror almost never hits him. He always flies past him, but he tracks him. But Ocean's able to take down Birdering, and now it's just about isolating space. He's taking the Zarya out of the fight. She might as well be dead, because she can't do anything here. The dueling aspect, and yeah, that's space at 99%. If Marvel's not checking that right side and Zarya gets to walk in, she might hit Grav, and that fight might go entirely different. All right, 20 seconds left. You know this is the last fight. They're going to take this forward position for a lot of reasons. One, Marvel can check this left side. Everyone else can check right side. So that forces them to go through the archway, and Mei Ice Wall is really good through archway. You don't have to win this fight. You just can't let them get to the cart. And sure enough, they try to go through left side. The rally gets popped early. You're going to see a wall and a flux. And yep, checking the burrito left side, making sure no flankers get their job done. Take that pin. It's a victory pin. And Seoul Dynasty will win that. Not the cleanest, not the most perfect match ever, not the most perfect fights ever, but Marvel did what every off-tank needs to do. He did his job. He checked for flankers, and he got value out of his gravitic flux. The shield was never down. His team felt safe the entire time behind it. Good job, Marvel, and some excellent, solid, fundamental Sigma play.